Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin, and I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina, and I am a transformational life coach, and I help people shift away from negative thinking. And I am in beautiful San Diego, California today.
We want to thank you so much for listening or watching. Each week, we start our discussion off with a different topic, and this week, or a different jumping off point is how we usually say it. And so the jumping off point was yours this week, Stephanie. And front time, you said you had a topic or a jumping off point. Sorry.
Yes.
Jumping off.
So in case your
topic makes it sound like we stick to one thing the entire episode, and we've almost never done that. So.
Yeah, right. We're always like beep, boop, beep, boop, 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 be bopping around. So mine was, since it's true that we are the creators of our own lives, then we need to ask ourselves, am I thinking and speaking of what I do want, or am I thinking and speaking against what I want? And I love that, because that's really powerful. Like I'm creating, like some of us are like, we want to just deflect it onto someone else. My life is this way because of, blaming others, our circumstances or what have you. But this is like taking our power back and also empowering, because it's like, I'm the creator by how I think and how I'm feeling. And recently, in the last year or more, I've really been focusing on something I really want. And I didn't believe it was possible, but I thought, I'm just going to say it anyways. And here it is over a year later. And I'm like, I believe it more today than I ever have before. And I have moments of like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. Oh yeah, it's true. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And so, but I think about, I'm 58. I just turned 58 in September. And I think about all the times that I have talked and thought against what I want.
Mm.
And I'm like, I did that to myself. Oh my God. And I mean, I didn't know any better. And I was just practicing, I don't know, something I picked up, some just core beliefs that I had. But I'm
I was
seeing
going to say, like, in education, at least in the United States, education changes over time. So I don't know exactly what children, age 6 to 10 are getting taught today and how they're getting taught it. I assume it's different than when I grew up, because I'm not 58, but I'm in that range. But I mean, I was taught that, I was taught that the things that happen both in your life and in the world are the result of things that are essentially beyond your control. And
right.
there's this limited set of things you can do, and you have to do those things because those are the only things you have to control things. But the rest of it, is beyond your control, and there's nothing you can do about the results. And the biggest thing is, like, I remember, I mean, it was probably when I was like a, I don't know, 10 years old teenager or something, but like I started learning about like the national economy, and watching the news, and kind of first having my first experiences of being able to understand, like, oh, the stock market's down, oh, companies are laying people off, oh, so people are losing their jobs. And like the reporters would say that it's like, oh, well, 30,000 people got laid off today, and it's because of the bad economy. So I mean, I don't think it's anybody's like fault or that surprising, at least in this country, that people grow up and become young adults and are like, yeah, like, and think to themselves things like that, like there are these external factors and they're going to determine a huge part of my world and my life, and there's nothing I can do about that.
And so that's learned.
Yeah.
That is learned. Because when you say like between 6 and 8, I was thinking, then my head thought, oh, but think about the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds who, like, I don't remember doing this, but I hear stories, you may have done this, where they're imagining, being Superman or, a fairy tale, whatever, and I we so believe that we can
Well,
Like, I would probably be a veterinarian, I would be a photographer, and I would be traveling worldwide photographing animals around the world.
yeah, I mean, that reminds me of an experience I've taught many different subjects to many different groups of people in many different situations, but I've only taught young children directly once. And one time I got sent to teach acting to a bunch of first graders, I think it was in Cincinnati,
Cool.
Ohio. And I was teaching with my friend Jane, who was a fellow actor and graduate student at that time. And we just had one day, we had one class. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but I'm guessing it was like an hour or maybe 90 minutes. But the thing that struck me about it is when we gave suggestions to the kids and we said, all right, everybody pretend to be a cowboy. Everybody pretend to be a wizard. Everybody pretend to be a cheerleader. Whatever we gave them, like almost all the kids, and the group we had was very diverse in terms of, background and everything. And I would say 80 to 90% of the kids, I think we had like 20 or 25 in the class, like you would say, pretend to be a cowboy. And it's not just like, first of all, the transformation was nearly instantaneous. And secondly, it was not just like, if you ask most adults, like, pretend to be a cowboy, they basically would do something with their voice like, oh, let's go
Yeah.
out to the ranch and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the kids, it was their entire physicality changed. Their whole body language became like,
Yeah.
with the rope and with the bow-legged, whatever they'd seen of
Yeah.
cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But and that experience has stayed with me over time because I'm like, oh my
Mm,
God, we learn ourselves out of that.
yeah. Right.
Like you
Absolutely.
tell most small kids like pretend you're a fairy or whatever, and it's like
Yeah.
they don't have that, they don't yet have that, like, well, what if I pretend to be a fairy in front of these people and I make a fool of myself, or I can't do it right, or
Or
whatever.
all of that stuff that we've been told,
Yeah,
all of that stuff that inhibits us from being bright, shiny beings
yeah,
is just layered on top of each other. So when you said they were instantly able to connect to it, because they don't have all of that. They haven't been spent years here
yeah,
on earth where they're being bombarded with all this negativity and limitation.
yeah,
But yet as an older person we do have, and so it's harder for us to like get through there, and then we have all of these opinions about it, um,
yeah,
judgments basically, and it inhibits us,
yeah,
stops us from being bright and shiny
yeah.
and creative. And I was telling you in friend time, it was uh actually, it was a couple weeks ago I started listening to Gary Owen again, and he's a comedian. You can find him on YouTube. And he uses his body a lot and just his voice. And so just watching him for several hours a week I started expressing myself physically, just noticing I was doing different things, or I'd make different gestures with my face. It was a lot of fun. It was just coming naturally as I was getting out of the shower or whatever, looking in the bathroom mirror. And I would crack myself up because I wasn't intentionally doing it. It was just kind of happening
Yeah.
by witnessing him do it and enjoying his comedy. So
And then if you contrast that with, and this isn't just you, this is like any adult, I would say, in the United States. If all of a sudden we had 20 other adults come and sit like an audience and we put you up in front of everybody, and I said, all right, everyone, pay very close attention because now Stephanie is going to do a really great impression of comedian Gary Owen.
no
Okay,
pressure.
Stephanie, take it away. And like
Yeah.
99% of the world would just be like would
Well,
try
I
to
would
get out of
freeze. Like
it.
you
Would
just, yeah, I would
Yeah,
freeze. I was just like, no.
yeah. But like, how do we? yeah, it's just sort of interesting because it's like it's the same thing. Like it's the same activity. It's the same thoughts and feelings.
Yeah,
But
and
like,
there are those, then I had those thoughts of, well, I'm not going to
yeah,
be exactly like him. I'm not going to be like, what am I going to do? You know,
yeah,
blah, 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 blah. So getting back to, yeah, this whole of, then we need to ask ourselves, am I thinking and speaking of what I want, or am I speaking against it?
yeah,
And I think, like, for me, I'll just say for me, in my lifetime, I have practiced more doubting and trying to figure out how, and all that,
yeah,
which which is really none of my part. My part is to just practice it,
yeah,
talk about it, think about it positively. Um, and then that whole trust thing of trusting that it'll show up. Like something showed up this past 2 weeks ago. I was looking for, let's say, a mentor type person. And in my trying to do that, I found an accountability partner, and she's fabulous. She thinks I'm fabulous. And I was just thinking about it, like, wow, that was so easy. It was something that I wanted, and I had thought about, but I hadn't put much attention to it. And then it was almost like higher power was saying, well, you really need this. This is going to really benefit you right now. Here's this thing. And I was like, wow, I asked for that a long time ago. This is even better than I asked for. And I've just kind of been in awe of like, oh, damn, everything I do want is coming. Whoa.
Well, I think too, it's that we don't understand because you and I have talked about this many times before. It's not because your jumping off point was the words we're using to speak out loud or to ourselves.
Yeah, the
And
thoughts.
and yeah, and those are thoughts basically. Whether they're spoken out loud or spoken in our own head, like those are thoughts. And but we know that the law of attraction works off our vibration. So it's not always exactly what we say. It's what vibration are we in when we say it. But
How we're
I mean, I
feeling.
can I can say all day long, like I just know I'm gonna get a great new car next month. But if my vibration is like
No,
bullshit, I
I'm
don't
not.
believe that,
Yeah. Yeah.
then I'm not gonna get the car, right?
Right.
But
Yet.
what I don't, yeah, yeah, exactly. But what I think a lot of us don't understand, I mean, it's taken me forever and I'm still working on this and practicing and getting better is that um, a lot of times it can feel, I don't know what the right adjective is, but like satisfying. It's not good, but satisfying to like, for example, if you are, let's say someone's unemployed, they're looking for a job and they bump into a friend and that friend is also unemployed and looking for a job and both people have had trouble finding a job in their minds, like they've sent out resumes, they've been checking Indeed or whatever,
Yeah.
and they for a few weeks and they haven't found anything. The easiest thing for those two people to do is to start validating each other for, and there's a difference between expressions of empathy, like using your words with another to express empathy, like, oh, which can those that can be very healthy, to say, yeah, it's been really rough for me too.
Yeah.
I know what you're going through. That's a positive vibration in
And
my,
then stop there.
but
And
yeah,
then stop there.
but that's not what most people do in that
Right,
scenario.
right.
And
Yeah.
I'm not blaming other people. Like same with me. Like uh,
Oh
today, if I was in that scenario and bumped into somebody, it would be a huge challenge to avoid the easiest thing to do, which is to start talking passionately about how hard it is to find a
yeah.
job,
Yeah.
and then start creating things with your words without even knowing it. For example, I just feel like that, and I've heard I've heard this with people looking for a house or apartment, people looking for a partner, or people looking for a job. They'll just say there's nothing out there. I mean, I don't know what's going on. There's nothing out there. It's like nobody's hiring. I mean, people say that nobody's hiring, which has never been true in the history of the United States of
Yeah. Yeah.
America.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, if
So
we're going to
there's
be
a good
technical,
place to just be like, oh wow. And I think, sometimes I don't even know, like I was thinking about a particular situation. And I remember I would leave having spent time with someone, having talked about this problem, and I walk away feeling horrible. And now I know I felt horrible because my higher self is focused on exactly what I want. And
Yep.
here I'm talking against it.
Against it.
And
Yeah.
my emotions are letting me know, like, you are way off track. What are you doing? Stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I realize, like, oh, that was why I felt bad all those times, because I was talking against what I wanted.
That's yeah, but I think that's the most important thing for me is, and that's why I was struggling with that adjective, is like when you bump into that, using the example I said, when you bump into the friend who's also unemployed, also had a hard time finding a job, there's like almost like a natural high you get off passionately reinforcing how rough it's been, focusing on like, yeah, there's nobody's hiring, I don't understand, like I've been putting on all these resumes. Like, it's not a good feeling, as you pointed out. It's usually a bad feeling because you're both making yourselves feel worse, but
Yeah.
there's like energy to it that it's just so easy to get into, and it feels like a natural high or something. So
Well,
the
it's law of
challenging thing for
attraction
me is like,
responding to us. It grows and it grows. It gets stronger and stronger and bigger the more we talk about it.
yeah, but I think the challenge for me is not just like catching the thought and stopping myself. It's catching the thought and catching the fact that even though there's this weird satisfaction or natural
Mm,
high from complaining,
mhm.
that it doesn't feel good. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't make
yeah,
me feel happy. It
yeah,
doesn't make me feel like I'm in alignment with who I
yeah,
really am. And that's
yeah,
the thing. It's
yeah.
like you hear all the time people, and again, I'm just sticking with this hypothetical example. But if somebody's been out of work for a long time, they've been looking for a job and having a tough time, you can, I mean, I've heard this many times in my life where people will say, yeah, Bob's having a really rough time. Yeah, he's really down lately. Like, he's been looking for a job. It's been hard, but he's really, I'm talking to him. He's not good. And then you'll hear that Bob got a job. I'm like, how's Bob doing? Oh, he's doing great. Oh, he finally found a job, and he's like, doesn't have to worry about blah 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 anymore, and he's like really really likes his new workplace. And oh, that's great. So I mean, there's this, you can hear in that conversation, which I think most people have heard those things time after time. It's like there's this encouragement of, oh, when things are wrong, you should feel bad and you should communicate to other people that you feel bad and everything. And I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
that people shouldn't express how they feel.
Yeah,
They absolutely need to,
we always
but
want to support everyone in
it's
expressing their feelings.
it's just acknowledging when you have that feeling of like, I want to complain about this because it feels like it would feel satisfying, but it doesn't feel good. It makes me feel bad. And so I'm
Yeah,
not going to complain about it.
yeah.
I'm either going to shut up, or if I'm able to change my vibration and, I'll start talking about, but I'm putting out resumes every day. I'm sure something will come along
There
eventually.
you go. See, how does that? So that when you said that, that felt better to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's like
yeah.
always noticing, like, how does something feel
Yeah.
when I talk about it? How does something
Yeah.
feel when I say it?
Yeah.
And vice versa. And so, something when you were talking was, I was thinking, like, maybe sometimes we want to be positive about a particular subject, but the people around us have a different opinion of it. And I think that is where we need to hold our own counsel. And like between, me and my higher self and higher power, just talk about it in that place of like, Abraham talks a lot about visualizing what you want, like imagining, I take walks around my neighborhood, and there around the block, there is this trailer, and it says imagine in huge letters. And I think about it, I'm a genie. Imagine,
Awesome.
the word imagine is I'm a genie. And there's so much power. Some people have the problems with the word visualization. And so what about imagination? Like, just imagine yourself living what you want. Imagine yourself having whatever it is you want. Imagine yourself being how you want to be, whatever it may be, in that quiet time in the morning. That's when I do my visualizing. I use that word. is in the morning during my meditation. Like I'll spend a portion of it imagining myself living it and what does it feel like. Um, and sometimes when I first start doing something, it feels really awkward and unfamiliar, and I have so much doubt and disbelief. But if it's something I really want, I really stick to it. And I think with this, consistency is really important, and that over time, I I think what happens is the more we do something, the repetitiveness, it becomes familiar. And so to the point where if we stick with it, like I told myself, I'm going to keep doing this until it happens.
There's something, something occurred to me as we had this conversation. How often do you get together with a group of friends and talk about the things you want to create and how possible they all are?
I know, right?
I don't
Like
ever do that.
when you say that,
I
I
mean,
think of like we actually join groups of, what is the word, mastermind groups.
mhm,
Or I heard this recently, prosperity team. Or we intentionally find people of like mind so that we
yeah,
can work together. But what you just said, no,
yeah.
no.
But then how often do people get together at parties or for coffee or whatever and just have complaint fests?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just so easy. It's just
yeah.
like we don't even have to think about it. We don't
Well,
have to say,
because
"Oh, let's get together
that
for coffee and complain."
because that's practice. What we just
Right,
talked about right
right.
now,
It's
that
what we're
has been
used to.
familiar because we've done it over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah. So the remedy is when we can, you can correct me if I'm off on this, but when we can, talk about our lives the way that we want them to be.
Yeah, and I would suggest, if you don't have people in your life that you can do that with, or you feel uncomfortable doing that because, they'll be like, well, yeah, but how? Or, all of that stuff. Just start doing it with yourself. Just
Yeah,
take time, a minute, 30 seconds, just kind of play with it. Even right now, as you're listening to us, think about what is it that I do want? What would it be like? How would I feel? Ooh, ask your question self that. What would it feel like to be, do, or have what I'm wanting?
mm,
And really think about that. What would it feel like?
yeah. Cool. Great discussion.
Awesome.
Thank you for your jumping off point. That was a good
You're
one.
welcome.
Um, we are so happy that you joined us today for this episode. Remember, we are posting a brand new episode for you every Monday morning at this point. We truly also appreciate whatever you can do on your platform that you're listening to us or watching us on, whatever it allows you to do to support us. If you could like us or follow us or subscribe to us, leave us a comment, write us a review, whatever it is. All that stuff really helps us and helps other people find the show. All of our social media links and our email address are in the doodly doo on the YouTube version video down below. We wish you a happy and abundant week, and we look forward to you joining us again on the next episode of Co Creation Station. Bye, everybody.
Bye.